as Professor Ball has introduced, well, I've been the project manager of beta editorial team in CBDB since 2011, and I just retired this summer. Keywords being retired, yeah. So I don't work for CBDB anymore. But as somebody who used to work for CBDB, I think I should use this opportunity to introduce that how various kind of data in different forms, like from other databases, some secondary reference books, and in some cases, just historical materials, exploring what kind of process, and finally getting into CBDB. And as Professor Ball has addressed earlier, that we keep many mistakes, but we keep the whole picture a right one. So I'm gonna so when we were promoting our database in China under various kind of opportunities, there are many people showing lack of confidence towards us, and some of them are excellent scholars. Their main anxiety is that the use of database would cut off the bond between historians and their materials. Imagine that. And so one of the reasons I give this talk here is to build some confidence that we're not trying to do that. And on the other hand, I'm also afraid of a kind of blind using of CBDB, as this is kind of like final answer, a data that you can use as the original historical material, and that is also not right. So I'm basically trying to building up some confidence and raising some concerns. So enough about me. So there hasn't been many history of CBDB talked today, but anyway, this is what I heard. I didn't experience it. So basically, Harvard University is like, well, the headquarters. Well, introduce of they're responsible for planning data acquiring, taking a task managing, and data mining, including the actual data mining work and developing data mining tools. And most important, in charge of fundraising. Well, and there is IHP and TTS company. Well, they joined since 2006. Again, this is what I heard. Well, IHP support us with digital resources of historical materials, and TTS support us with an online inputting system, which is very important. And more important is the data service, which will store our huge amount of data in their server. And the third part is the beta editorial team I work on. Well, our main work is actually manual work. There are two large groups of manual work I'm talking about. One I'm not gonna elaborate today is the basic structure founding. Well, as Professor Fuller has showed this morning, that a relational database relies on a set of basic forms like the address form, the relation form, which was designed and coded. And this all needs huge amount of manual work and historical insight. Well, our team just in charge of a little part of it, and most part is done here at Harvard. And what I am trying to do today is introducing our data processing. Well, this is our team working. Well, usually it's 5 to 10 people and working in the library of Center for Research of Chinese traditional history. And we work annually for 50 to 60 days. And the members are usually graduate students of Song and Yuan history. So basically, the manual work we are doing can be divided by the role of our team and the data source that is coming from. So I simply divided it into 3 and 3. So basically there are 9 possibilities, but I'm not gonna elaborate them each. And the green cross in the middle, I think, is the computational methods. So what I'm gonna do is I will introduce some typical and extreme cases to see what problems we've come into data processing and what lesson we can learn from it. And first, it's the very typical lesson from manually inputting to quality control. Basically, we started with manually inputting, and we're not satisfied with, so we turn into examining each data and material sources. And then I'm going to introduce an extreme case, which we use manual work to do philological work in the historical materials. And then I'm going to introduce a failed case, which a very ambitious project, I think, falling apart. And last, I'm going to compare 2 most frequently used methods in our data mining process and see which kind of them is more accurate or convenient or efficient. So let's start it one by one. And first it's the Wang work of 宋元人传记资料索引 and the MQWW led by Professor Grace Fang at McGill University. Okay, can we move the screen? I don't know.
Yeah, good. First screen.
So, yeah, probably you can present like this.
Or you can just do it from
Is it? No.
不然你就不用播放了，就在那个外面，就像刚才那样。
Okay. So the work of Wang Deyi is where we started. We started with reference books because
Wang Deyi is the 圣人传记资料索引 and his
Yuan, yeah, that of Yuan as well. So it's much easier and already summarized what the historical material says. As we can see, there will be a simple biography here, and a list of the materials, historical materials here. As that's what we started. As that is what we started at, so we set the bar very high. So we're not quite satisfied with just checking this box, which means the simple bio, and we've extended our fingers onto this. So basically, we go through the materials to check if the biography is correct. And the same cases also happened in the MQWW.
You gotta speak louder.
Okay, and the same cases also happened in MQWW. So MQWW is good in many ways, but there is this part.
Is the Ming-Qing
Women writing, yeah.
writings database.
So it is that the comment is which contains huge amount of social associations and kinships are in text instead of data. So what we do is that we read these comments and put them into data. And also here is where the comment is coming from. However, the people who previous work on this is not a trained historian. He's an IT guy, so made a lot of mistakes. And moreover, the collection of women writing as 名媛诗话 and 国潮闺秀正史续集 are sometimes are not very good edited. So we have to look into different databases for text databases like 基本古籍库 whatever to find what is the real case. So basically it's philology. And in these two cases, we started like we are trying to get what is already in the database into CBDB, but well, actually we did much further and we spent a lot of times. And at the end, we correct Wang Deyi's work for hundreds of mistakes and send them back to Taiwan. Well, that's part of the deal.
Yeah, because Wang Di's work exists as a digital edition carried by Academia Sinica. So all of the errors we discovered could prove the digital edition.
So that's a win-win solution, I think. And here is the very extreme case that we face historical material directly. That is of the letters of Quan Songwen and the kinship relationships in 唐代木质汇编. This is a screenshot from the work we did with the letters of Quan Songwen. First, Zhu Pingsi at Tsinghua University of Hsinchu chose automatically chose all the letters from the content of Quan Songwen and form Excel sheet, and he looked up all the IDs of the author in CBDB. So column A is the ID of CBDB for the author, and we don't know who is the recipient. Again, the philological word is involved. So in some cases, it is quite simple, and you just switch the directions of the courtesy name and your last name. But sometimes it involves reading the whole letter again and again. So basically, it took us almost 2 years with 4 or 5 graduate students to do it. The good spot of this is that the good side of this is that this is totally new. No one has ever done this before. And the downside is because it's very hard work, so the error rate is not very low. And the same case also happened in the kinships of Tangdai Muzhi Huibian, because the narratives of Tang epithets are not that structured as that of Song and later dynasties. We spent a lot of times reading the tones of the text and defining who the hell are they really talking about. Well, pardon me. Nervous. And then I'm gonna introduce a failed task that's with the Songshi postings. Does Professor Ball know about this?
I could guess since you didn't ever deliver the data.
Yeah, so it started as a very ambitious and project, a very ambitious project that we pick all the, look at column C. That's called the verb of appointment, VOA. We pick up all the VOA, and what's following the VOA is actually the official titles. And we use these supposed official titles, and we search them in our current hierarchy trees of some official sheets, and we get answers. It seems very fine, and as we can see, there are about 70 to 80% of the accurate, but well, just there are 2 or 3 things went wrong. Thanks. First is that the procedure is not actually correct. We have to, because the people who's making the official sheet 2 or 3 years ago did not know that they will be used in this way. So they were not designed to do this. As for example, there are all kinds of 主部 in different agencies. But when you search for 主部, it comes with the first, which is not usually the 主部 of a county. And this happens a lot. And there are also so many partials that we cannot decide which one it is. So basically, this led to the next failure, that there is not a very workable or friendly interface for our inputters. As you can see, we don't see the original text in this Excel sheet. So, which made us very hard to define where it is. And this should not be a problem, as the text was supposed to be separated by names, since they all belong to the same, the biograph of the same person. And the separation was done by ourselves. But again, when we were doing the separation, we don't know what we are actually dealing with, or we don't know what the following words would be. So, ta-da. So basically, after a month of trying, we find that the incorrect 30% just never disappear, and it's quickly buried with following works.
Alas.
Sorry. And the last is a comparison. Gate and tagging system are the interface or software we use to do data mining. The case with Gate is this one. Oops. This one, right? Okay. Well, Gate is a short for something which is developed by an English government. And what we've opened is an XML file with all the tags. And we tag them by regular expressions. Like we program everything before 次子 as a name and 次子 as a kinship relationships. Well, so something like that. So the working procedure of Gate is that hover here run through all the regular expressions that programmed and give us all the feedbacks, all the results, and we prove the results. One problem of this is the good side is that you can process large amounts of data at once, but the downside is that you have no interactions with the actual working group. When some obvious mistake or something never came up while you're writing the regular expressions came up, well, there's no way of changing it automatically. For example, if the 年号 Hongwu is recognized as people's name, it just keep becoming people's names, and you have to delete each Hongwu every time it appears. So it wastes some time, and more important, it makes workers think that what are we doing? Well, because there is kind of a sense of capitalism growing in the academic, something like that. However, things really changed. Now we are using this. It's called tagging system, which is also developed here by Harvard editorial group. Many thanks. Well, the difference between tagging system and Gate is that although it also uses regular expressions to tag, it focuses on workers. So the whole process, the whole tagging process is done manually by the worker, by the editor. And where does the computational method lies? It helps you to do it easily and quickly. So this is what we've been doing for the past around 18 months. We tag all the officials from local gazetteers, and I think it's quite a good work. So basically, uh, the reason why I introduced these cases first to CBDB users is that not all the data in CBDB was manually examined. But however, we tried our best to do is that most of the data can trace back to the original historical material. If you see there's a source column of CBDB, and sometimes it's historical material, sometimes database. But if it's database, you can click and turn into the other databases, and there will be the source of historical material, something like that. And I'm definitely not saying that the work that has not been manually examined is not trustful. Well, basically, you will need to evaluate yourself as a researcher because different databases work differently. You would have to check how they work and how their quality of data is to you and to your study. And second, uh, around to value our work, I mean many work done by beta editorial team, we think that we might consider that data from WANDE and MQWW is perhaps most accurate. And speaking of the completeness of the data, we think the Song dynasty is the best. Not to say that Song dynasty contain most data, because apparently Ming and Qing is already having more data than Song and will keep blooming for a while. But if we count all the possibilities of data acquiring from Song, then compare with that of Ming and Qing, I think we've done pretty much almost everything for the Song. And third is that I think after you extract data from CBDB, always disambiguate your data before analyzing it. Just as Professor Ball has addressed. Well, he just do a quick scan of the name, but if you are doing like an address, a spatial analysis, then you have to check the address. If you're doing an SNA, then you would have to look at if there are any simple mistakes done by the workers or by the machines. And I think CBDB is just a start. You can use CBDB to raise questions, but it seldom became the final answer. You would have to prove it with a traditional method or the in method that has just introduced by Chen Song. And also, I think this came to a problem that what I would like to say to the future researchers and database contributors, constructors. I think many work is inevitable. Even if you solely depended on data from other databases, you still have to manually input it in some way. And I think multiple ways of manual work may cooperate with each other. In the case of Transong letters, we've already had a quite huge base for some data, and we spend a lot of our time on this one task to make it more complete, then it's rewarding. But if you have nothing, if you devote this kind of time to an area you have nothing, it's just not worth it, I think. And what lesson, the lesson I think we can draw from the failed test of Song postings is that use manual work to clean up the computational work seems tempting because you always think that you have already done 70% of work, but well, you always have to think of a right procedure and a friendly interface to do it. Otherwise, the lasting 30% just seems endless. And I think when computational methods, when data mining technologies were first introduced into CBDB, we all have some kind of ambition that one day computational method will take over the world, take over our whole world, our manual work. But well, several years passed and it's not the case. So let's go back to what the tagging system do. So focusing on the workers and focusing on the editors and use computational method, use data mining skills to help people do the work better. I think that's currently the most efficient ways. Well, thank you.
Thank you.